pose for photographs with debris that look...
It's alive! It's alive!
A creature like that, I wouldn't ever die.
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Why, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. It's horrible. It looked like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Greetings, salutations. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You got just me tonight, everybody. Welcome, worlds. I'm glad you're here. How is your migraine? It appears our connection is much better this week than it was last week. Geez, I still don't know what the heck happened last week. Just bad luck. I don't know. Hope everybody's doing all right. I was waiting to see if a bunch of people popped in, just like they usually do, but it looks like it's just going to be our regulars, and that's okay. We got a weird one tonight. I really hope you guys are ready for this. Let's hit this intro.
Slept it off and woke up with 10 minutes to spare. Happy Sunday.
Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Let's get this intro over with, and we'll
Always ready.
jibber-jabber just a little bit. I'm total brain fart. See, my wife's not here. I'm thrown off so freaking
Hello.
hard. James, how are you doing this fine evening? That's ready. Okay, cool. Let's hit this opener. Let's hit it. Here we go. For nearly half a century, people in Chihuahua, Mexico have stopped outside a bridal shop to stare at the woman standing behind the glass. She has delicate hands, visible lines cross her palms, eerily realistic fingernails, human-looking hair, and glass eyes that some swear will follow you as you walk past. Officially, her name is La Pascualita, and she is nothing more than a mannequin, but according to a legend that began shortly after she appeared in the window of La Poplar in 1930, the woman behind the glass was once very much alive. They say she was the shop owner's daughter, a young bride who died tragically before she could reach the altar. And rather than bury her, her grieving mother supposedly had her body preserved, dressed her in a wedding gown, and placed her in the window for the entire city to see. That's only beginning, because over the decades, people have claimed she doesn't always stay still. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is Season 3, Episode 34, Beyond the Shadows podcast. I am your host, Victus. Tonight, we are discussing La Pascualita, the corpse bride of Chihuahua. Welcome, everyone. I'm Victus. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. Yes, this is going to be a good one. Tonight I am solo, and I am your personal professional paranormal investigator, and this is the greatest paranormal podcast in the world, as long as you don't fact check it, where every week we put that claim to the test. We record this show live, one take, no edits, and try to figure out if this week's case is truly paranormal or just bullshit. Victus, how you doing this week? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Usually I set up Jack here in the second chair, but I have zero drive to do anything constructive this week. I didn't even make a new shirt this week, but I do have a good one. I hope everybody's doing okay. It's been one hell of a weekend here. Lots of horrible weather. We actually got some flooding last night, and we were kind of expecting it to hit us, but apparently we're like 37 or 38 feet higher above sea level than everybody else in town. So it didn't do any flooding here. But all around us it flooded. But you know, it is what it is. Hazel's taking the weekend off. She is currently teaching a class at the college, and she's got some stuff that she's got to do for her class tonight, and she's only got so much bandwidth. So hopefully we'll see her next week. This is just her first week of the class, and she's having some trouble with a few of the students. She's just want to make sure that she's able to stay on task and keep her students doing what they need to do. So she's taking a personal day. Well, y'all got me. Glad you're here, James. Glad you're here, Worlds. We get a weird one tonight. We really do. This story first came across my radar probably like 10 or 12 years ago. And at first I was like, this is just some bullshit. But the more I looked into it and the more I hear other people talk about it, the more I realized there might be something more to it. And I think, you know, after doing some preliminary investigation last night, I did realize that there is enough here to make a decent investigation. We've got a really strange case. I said last week this is almost like a true crime case, but more on the side of paranormal than true crime. But there is elements of true crime in it. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. I hope everybody's doing okay. A couple little updates. I've got a new Lego set in the background here. I've been looking for this guy for like 6 months, and I've been putting off ordering it. And I just found out that there was a Lego store, but like an hour away. So Hazel and I went to the Lego store yesterday, and I may or may not have spent more money than I anticipated, but they had a bunch of the stuff I wanted. And you know what? I deserve it. I work hard. And I don't really blow money on dumb shit. But I will, I'll show you guys the one I built, and then I'll show you the one that I'm going to build. Well, this guy, this is just too cool. Oh, shit. A freaking giant minifig. Was he still a minifig? This is like 800 pieces, but like full model.
He's such a booby do.
Yeah, this guy's great. Like the arms move, and you can take the top of the head off, and inside is a little tiny robot, a little baby robot controlling the human. I love when they hide shit like that, because I really had no clue that there was a robot inside until I built it. And I'm like, what's this little character? Because it wasn't like a minifig. It was like made out of little pieces.
I love him.
Yeah, this is really cool. All right. This is really freaking cool, because it's one thing that they just started doing, and it makes the most sense. It really does. Like, the legs move. I mean, he's full articulating. I mean, his hips move. Oh, well, maybe his hips don't move, but I dropped my alien man. He fell straight out the bottom. His legs move, his arms move. I don't think his head turns. No. What? Really cool. So they make like 4 or 5 different giant minifig. I guess if it's not a minifig, is it a giant fig? I'm really not sure. Hold on, my phone's blowing up. What's going on? Okay. But they got this one. What's the other ones I saw? Jeez, I can't even think. I was just so blown away by everything
Giant
inside
fig.
the store. Yeah, it's a giant fig. Can't think of any of the others, but cool little set. And then, the piece de la resistance. I went ahead and did it, y'all. I did it. I got the X-Files set yesterday. This thing, 1,400 pieces. This is the biggest, the heaviest. This thing's got to weigh like 10 or 12 pounds. Probably the heaviest Lego set I've bought. But I did get the bonus set. So there was like a limited run that if you buy this early enough, you get Scully doing Scully in like an autopsy lab doing an autopsy. So I got the bonus Scully set, and she's in the bedroom because I want to make sure that I do that one in a timely manner. But I will very likely be rearranging some of this background because that set is going in the background. 20 stream streak. Wow. Wow. Holy wow. Yeah, there's only one thing to say about that.
You the best.
You the best. You the best. We could totally make bumper stickers. But yeah, so I got the X-Files set. I got the bonus X-Files set. I got the giant Lego man. I got like a hanging chandelier looking thing. We in our kitchen, we had a hard time finding decorations for the kitchen. I painted the ceiling pink and couldn't figure anything to really do with it. It just looked like it was empty. So we bought a bunch of like miniature piñatas, and they're all over the ceiling in the kitchen. So there's like 25, 30 of them in this, just hanging from the ceiling in the kitchen. And I saw this like hanging candelabra chandelier looking thing. So I'm going to make that and hang it from the kitchen. And then I got 2 keychains. I got a gold minifig keychain for myself, and then a hot dog minifig keychain for Hazel. And I think there was something else. I don't remember. Oh, and I got her a set, and we built her a set last night. The Everybody is Awesome set. It let me see if I could. I didn't take a picture of it. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. Well, this is the one we got her, and we built this last night. It was pretty cool. She has a hard time doing ones with a lot of little pieces, so this one seemed, it was something that we could do together. Really, I think it only took us like 30 minutes to build this thing, but she likes it. It's pretty cool. It's a weird set. I've never seen a minifig or a set with so many minifigs in it, but I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, right. I thought that was cool. I thought it was really cool. So we got her that. And then I feel like there was one other. Maybe I'm just forgetting. I don't know. Let me check Discord. I know I put a picture on Discord. Yeah, I'm a total nerd when I have a Lego subthread. Oh no, that's it. Just the 4. The hanging candelabra thing, the 2 X-Files sets, and the giant minifig man. The giant fig. Yeah. Anywho, glad everybody's here. I'm already starting to sweat in here. Jeez, the one time Hazel's not in here, I'm usually like freezing this thing out and there's ice forming on the walls, and I didn't do it this week. Ugh, y'all make me nervous. I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm by myself. Anywho, I hope everybody's doing okay. We got a crazy little investigation tonight. We got lots and lots of pictures to look at. So many photos relating to this case. Oh.
Basil baseball.
Evening. Smiling face with hearts.
Otter, how you doing? Welcome back. Geez, I just can't get my IEM to seat correctly today. Trying like hell. Like, I don't know. This one doesn't feel right. I got him for cheap anyway. Who cares? Open box deals. Otter, how you doing? Glad to have you. Welcome back. Tonight we're discussing Pascualita, the corpse bride of Chihuahua. Gonna be a cool little investigation. I really do think so.
Great to be here. Devastated I missed last week. I fell asleep watching Bioshock Live.
Oh no, it's all right. You do what you gotta do. You know, there's no demand to be here. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the chill neutral zone, the chill space where if you come, it's awesome. If you don't, it's okay. We're people. We got things to do. First and foremost, I am a podcaster. Secondly, a streamer. I'm not here to try to make money off of people. I'm not here to beg people for subs or bits. I'm here just to have fun and share my incredible obsession with everybody else. And I'm just so glad that you even came back, because so few people come to the show. Single digits every week, but that's okay. You know, I'm thrilled to death just to have people here. My first year and a half, I streamed to myself. Nobody watched live, so I'm just glad anybody's here. And James is here for a good long while. James was my silent rider for
Of course.
a good long
I'm here
while.
for the spooky and unexplainable.
Yes, you're gonna get it tonight. Is my camera sitting crooked? Does it seem like it's crooked? Like the background seems a little...
Quality, not quantity.
Yes, precisely. We strive to make a quality product. I mean, albeit we do produce an episode every single week. A lot of
We're just too
podcasts.
cool.
That's right. A lot of podcasters don't do what I do. It's like one 30-minute episode every other week or something like that. I like to think that I'm a little above the norm here with doing a great episode every single week. I'm honestly surprised that 100+ episodes in, we haven't run out of material yet. Geez, because, that was my biggest fear after ripping through season 1 was, shit, eventually I'm going to run out of stories, right? But they just keep coming. And, I listened to another podcast, This Paranormal Life. Go check them out. Great show. They're the guys that really got me interested in wanting to do this podcast. I'll give them a shout out. They probably don't even know I exist, but cool dudes. And they're on like episode 400.
iViewersTwitchMax.com.
Oh my God.
There's always something going on in the world.
Hold on. We got a new sound for the bot. Sorry, bot. Appreciate you giving me a tiny little number boost, but yeah, we're gonna have to ban you. I'm sorry. We don't do bots in this chat. You're out of here. And we'll see you next time, Mr. Botman. Yeah, that's our new sound, by the way. Yeah, I've been saying for a month now that we needed to get that in there, and I've had one open space left on the soundboard. It fits. It's good. Everybody shame the bot. Bot shaming time.
Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
Yeah, get out of here, bot. Nobody wants you here,
Shame.
bot. the the Game of Thrones meme
That's the
comes to
rest
mind.
of Anchor, lol.
We need a redemption for shaming the bot. That's what we need. Yeah, that's what we need. We need a bot shaming redemption, where it's like somebody just beating up a robot or something. That's what we need.
Do you believe in me? Because I believe in you.
Any hoots and hollers, let's move forward now that we have kicked one bot out of the show. Before we begin tonight's episode about the story of a mannequin that may or may not have once been a living person, it's time to see what strange things have been happening around the world. This is this week's News and Paranormal. All right, first and foremost, we have pilot ducks as mystery objects fly past airliner. A newly reported aviation incident out of the United Kingdom sounds like something straight out of a UFO encounter. An Airbus A320 pilot descending toward Heathrow reported the dark, unidentified object passing extremely close to the cockpit at roughly 6,500 feet, close enough that the pilot instinctively ducked. The incident actually occurred on June 1, but details have now emerged through an investigation by the UK Airprox Board, which reportedly classified the encounter as carrying a high risk of collision. Radar apparently offered no clear answer as to what flew past the aircraft. And secondly, we have a mysterious...
Ghost dinosaur lol.
Yeah, right? Ah, jeez. Why does my ear itch now that I've got it? Freaking... I wear earbuds all day at work and my ear doesn't itch. I put these in my ear and now my ear itches. Y'all got to watch me dig in my ear for a little bit. All right. Mysterious Russian space activity forces Air Force plane to turn around. On August 18, a U.S. Air Force C-17 flying from New Zealand towards McMurdo Station in Antarctica reportedly turned around after receiving a warning about a potentially dangerous Russian space activity. The warning concerned activity that could pose a hazard to aircraft operating in the region, but exactly what Russia was doing wasn't publicly identified. Possible falling space debris is one explanation, but for now, the wonderfully vague phrase space activity is doing a lot of work here. And scientists discover a black hole star. Astronomers using the James Webb Telescope has identified something that sounds completely made up, a black hole star. The strange object appears roughly the size of our solar system and resembles an enormous star, but its tremendous energy output appears more consistent with a black hole buried inside an immense gas cloud. Researchers think objects like this could finally help explain the mysterious bright red dots James Webb has repeatedly detected in the early universe. And a giant alien-looking blob appears in a Connecticut lake. People visiting Connecticut's Candlewood Lake have been finding huge gelatinous masses floating beneath the water that look like alien brains. Fortunately, they're not eggs waiting to hatch. They're colonies of tiny animal called bryozoans, specifically pectinal. It's a huge Latin name. I'm not going to try. That can form enormous brain-like blobs, sometimes reaching around 2 feet across. They're harmless, but if you're swimming through a lake and your leg suddenly brushes against a 2-foot gelatinous brain, knowing that afterward probably isn't going to help much. And finally, a rare deep-sea creature leaves mysterious shell on a Texas beach. Finally, strange spiral shells recently discovered along the Texas coast came from an animal most people will never see alive. They belong to the ram's horn squid, a tiny deep-sea cephalopod that normally lives hundreds of even thousands of feet beneath the surface. The creature has an internal spiral shell that it uses to control its buoyancy and can even produce bioluminescent light. Finding the shells isn't unheard of, but discovering several together was unusual enough to attract attention. And the actual animal has reportedly been filmed alive in natural habitat only once. So I want to look that up because I want to know what it looks like. And apparently this week, the universe decided to give us unidentified objects nearly hitting airplanes, mysterious Russian space activity, stars with black holes inside them, and giant floating alien brains. So everything seems perfectly normal. And with that, it's time to leave this week's news and paranormal behind and turn our attention to Chihuahua, Mexico, where for nearly a century, people have been asking one very simple question. Is the woman standing in that bridal shop window actually dead? Well, I want to look this thing up. I want to look it up. I want to see what this thing looks like. Ram's horn squid? I've never even heard of that. You know, that was the ram's horn squid. I want to... Yeah, let's look that thing up. Ooh, those are cool. How strange. So the shell forms inside the squid. Huh. That's actually really cool.
It's actually kind of cute.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Wow, look at the horn growing through its head. That's incredible. I get why they call it a ram's horn now. Yeah, that's That's just wild. They're so small. That's crazy with it like sticking through the top of its head. That's really crazy looking. I had never even thought, because you always hear about like horns like this grow on the outside. It's like a defensive posturing thing, mating thing. Excuse me. This is completely internal. It just seems counterintuitive to nature, right? But I mean, I guess it's there to control buoyancy. I mean, that deep in the ocean, I guess you wouldn't want your air sac to be contained in a fleshy bit because you just probably explode. Yeah, that's just too cool. I never even thought of that. That's cool though. That's cool though. That's cool. All right, so I wasn't able to. You know what? I came up with something off the top of my head. So this week, I called the mayor of Chihuahua, Mexico. However, because I'm enjoying getting viewer participation on this, I need a hobby. Or let's go with 2 hobbies because we know he's the mayor. But give me 2 hobbies for the mayor of Chihuahua, Mexico. Worlds, I know you're good at this part. We're going to call this clown. We're going to call him up.
Metal detecting.
Yeah, we're going to go metal detecting, and we need one more. One more. Come on. Come on, give me something good. Give me something good. Give me something good. How are you going to beat metal detecting, right? Chihuahua, Mexico, metal detecting. I feel like that's actually a very lucrative hobby. Isn't that a tourist spot? Okay, if y'all don't have another one, I'm going to make one up on my own. Not going to be as interesting. All right.
Rhubarb pie.
Is rhubarb pie a hobby? Okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. We'll go with it. Oh, wait. I totally forgot. Hold on. Bye, bar.
I'm not falling asleep, honest. Metal detecting and baking, they famously go with each other lol.
I got another Funko Pop this week. My Down to Down friends out there. And I got another Turbo Granny, but she's so small. I don't know where I put her. She's here somewhere. She's on one of these many shelves behind me. All right, metal detecting and baking. We're gonna flex my my ability to wax poetically. All right. Beat it out. Let's kill this mic and bring it up. Bring up the phone. Bring up the freaking phone.
So, this week, I called... Wait, let me turn it up a little more. There we go. This week, I called Marco Antonio Bonilla Mendoza, the current mayor of Chihuahua, Mexico. And I'm like, hey, man, I know you're busy with all your mayoral duties, but, I'm doing a paranormal investigation on something that's happened in your town. And he's like, oh, you must be talking about my rhubarb pie. And I said, no, not your rhubarb pie. He's like, oh, well, surely you must be talking about the amazing flaky creme de cacao that I make. And I said, no. But that sounds delicious. And I've had creme de cacao before, and it sounds delicious. and first and foremost, why are you considering your baking paranormal? He's like, it's just the way it is. I mean, it's so good that it can't be real. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, I'm going to text you my address, and you're going to send me some. He's like, yeah, I got you. And I'm like, all right, dude, so we're doing this investigation on Loma Pascualita. Do you have a minute to talk about it? And he's like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I said, do you have a minute to talk about La Pascualita? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, my metal detector is going off. I'm actually currently combing the beach, and I may or may not have found something. He's like, hold on, give me a second, I'm going to dig this up. And you hear, like, the shovel. And he just goes on, he's huffing and puffing and breathing for a while. And he's very, very out of shape, because he is a mayor. Apparently metal detecting isn't as big of a hobby as you think it is. He's like, look, usually during spring break, this metal detecting really pays off, but it doesn't pay off much in the off season. I'm like, yeah, I get that. He's like, but you know what really does pay off? And I'm like, what is it, La Pascualita? No, my rhubarb pie. And that's where I hung up on him the first time. So I call him back about 30 minutes later. I'm like, all right, dude, you got a minute to talk about La Pascualita? He's like, yeah, I got you. What's up? I'm like, hey, we're doing this investigation on La Pascualita. He's like, all right, man, this is a real one. This one's real. You're absolutely going to think this is real. But before you do this investigation, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. I'm like, what am I getting myself into? You're getting yourself into a whole heap of mess here. We might have us a legitimate dead body on our hands. We don't know. We can't get in there. We can't do any tests. They won't let us. But before we talk about it, I got to know one thing. And I'm like, yeah, what is it? Anything. And he got real quiet. He got really quiet. I said, what is it? Just one thing I need to know. What is it? I need your address because you wanted me to send you baked goods, and yeah, so I need to. And I'm like, dude, I told you I'm gonna text you my address. So he's like, all right. Well, legitimately, I do have a question. I said, what is it? And he got real quiet, and he looked at me through the phone. You know what he said? What shirt are you wearing today?
Bud, your mic's not on.
I knew that.
Muted.
I was testing you. Good job. Good job, you passed the test. Congratulations. So, this is my first full weekend off in like 2 months, and I've been very lazy all weekend. Very lazy. And I didn't make a shirt. I was getting ready to make a shirt, and last second I was like, you know what? I'll be all right. I don't need to make a shirt this weekend. It's my weekend off. I don't need to do any work. So I wore my shirt that matches my current mood. Submitted to you for the approval of the Midnight Society. This shirt. My Snorlax Pikachu sleeping. I know. Not as impressive as they have been. I like my Snorlax. I do.
Approved.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So when I was at the Lego store yesterday, I was looking at their Pokemon sets, and they do have a Munchlax Lego set. but not a Snorlax. And I'm a little upset by that because I want a Snorlax Lego set. I want a big fat Snorlax. And I want to keep him everywhere. I don't carry him around like my tiny child. I must have Snorlax. Snorlax is my spirit animal. Snorlax is my buddy. I almost wore my Snorlax onesie tonight. But again, it's my weekend off, and I'm very lazy this evening. Any hoots and hollers. Right before I was going live,
They don't have a Snorlax set. After how successful Pokopia was, they're sleeping on that.
yeah, right. There's another company that makes stuff like Lego that they sell at like Walmart, and they do make Pokemon sets, and they make a Snorlax, but it's like very loosely defined Snorlax, and instead of it being like this guy, the face is a Lego piece. There's no stickers on this guy. The Snorlax knockoff Lego set is just like a blue blob with a bunch of Snorlax stickers on it. And it's just lazy. I'm sorry. It's lazy. He's a ball with 2 arms and 2 legs that likes to sleep. You could very easily, and it doesn't look great. But officially, Lego does not make a Snorlax set. Not that I know of. Jeez, now I gotta look it up. Nope, there's the fucking Munchlax. Mega Bricks, that's what they're called. But there is a Snorlax minifig, and that's kind of great. I'll take a Snorlax minifig. Look at the Snorlax minifig. Look how cool this guy is. Well, there's the knockoff set. I don't like it. I have this. This is actually over there on top of my little speaker connected to my record player. This is another knockoff Lego set, but like this is more effort than the Mega Bricks one. Oh yeah, that Snorlax minifig looks great. It's like he's posing. He should have a microphone in his hand. Mega Constructs.
Minifig is adorable.
Yeah, that's really cool. For $6, I could do that. $15 plus ship or $6 plus shipping. $15 for a minifig. It seems a little excessive, but yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this dumb shit. This is not appealing to me in any way. He looks horrible. Stickers. Don't give us stickers. We want the real thing. We want Lego. Ugh.
Snooze.
I know, right? Yeah, they're sleeping on it for sure. Enough. All right. So before we get going, anybody it's Otter Worlds James, I'm curious to know if any of you guys have ever heard of La Pascualita.
Oh my god, the Snorlax with the succulent though.
Oh, hold up. Oh, it's at Walmart? Ooh. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I do have a little windowsill garden in my kitchen, and this is right up my alley. This is really cool. Is that an actual drain? Yeah, it's a drain. Good. Oh, yeah. Kudos on them. They did a really good job with that. $23. Yeah. I don't know that I could. I don't know if 23 is a little steep for me. 23 is a little steep for something that small. 3 inches? Nah. But I will pay 15 for a minifig. It's smaller than my thumbnail. Oh, jeez. But yeah, I'm curious if anybody listening, Otter Worlds, James, and YouTube Land, Have y'all ever heard of La Pascualita before? Has this come up on anybody's radar before? Because it was just like kind of halfway mentioned to me.
I have not heard of it.
Okay, cool. Cool. So we're kind of charting some uncharted territory here. Good. You know, I like that because I like to keep everybody guessing. This is a very strange one.
I've never heard of this, no. It reminds me of the true crime case where a man turned a body into a wax figure.
You know, Hazel and I were talking about that earlier because, well, since she wasn't going to be here tonight, usually I don't tell her what the case is, but before I got started, I was like, so I'm covering La Pascualita tonight, and it's this mannequin that supposedly has a body inside of it in Chihuahua, Mexico, and I was showing her some pictures, and she's like, this reminds me of something that I heard recently. And, you know, I want to say that I heard it too, but I can't think for the life of me where I heard it from. But I don't know. What was that movie, House of Wax? Isn't that what they did in House of Wax? That horrible movie with Paris Hilton in it? They were killing people and then preserving their body in wax in a wax museum. It doesn't like strike me as a bad idea, right? You know, as far as preserving like a
I heard about the case years ago. The man either killed the woman or she died and he dug her up.
Oh, geez. Yeah, now we got to look it up. But as far as like preserving a body goes, you know, preserving in wax does not really actually seem like one of the worst ways to do it. I mean, better than, you know, an Ed Gein kind of way of taking bodies up. But let me look this up right quick. True crime. Body preserved in wax. Oh, there's two of them. Carl Tanzler and Maria Milagro. Let me hit in April of 1933, Tanzler moved Elena's body from the tomb and brought it to his home because the corpse was decomposing. He undertook gruesome restoration process. They reattached the bones with piano wire, replaced the decayed skin with silk cloth soaked in wax paper and plaster of Paris, inserted glass eyes, and used a wig made of her own real hair. And then in 1911, Elmer McCurdy, the accidental preservation, the local undertaker embalmed McCurdy's body. Apparently he was like a crime spree bank robber. The undertaker embalmed McCurdy's body with an arsenic-heavy formula. When nobody claimed the body, the undertaker kept it in a back room as a sideshow attraction, charging people a nickel to view the bandit who wouldn't give up. And over the next several decades, the preserved corpse was sold to various traveling carnivals and crime museums. At one point, handlers covered part of the mummified, shrunken skin with a layer of wax and displayed it alongside actual wax dummies. Wow. So this is not an original idea, but this is a really unique one. Because I think as far as we know, Poke Your Eyes Out Radio is here, everybody. Oh. Welcome, friend.
The one from the 30s is the one I knew about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one I heard about, too. Like, the guy was, like, so in love with this woman that he actually killed her. He, like, poisoned her or something and dug her body up and preserved her body so he could have her. And it is stuff with her. Yeah. Crazy little tale. I listen to too much true crime. But, Poke Your Eyes Out's here, everybody. Let me give a quick shout out. Let me give a shout out. Poke's my dude. I'm no good at this part. Hold on.
Go check out Poke Your Eyes Out Radio at twitch.tv/Poke Your Eyes Out Radio and go show them some love.
I used to have it set up the word play a clip. I don't know why it's not playing clips anymore. Also, Worlds be streaming. So let me give a Otter, do you stream?
Go check out Worlds of Confusion at twitch.tv/Worlds of Confusion and go show them some love. I am too beautiful for clips. I don't.
Ah, jeez. No, that's fine. Right before I was live tonight, I was watching some YouTube shorts, and I like to do that so I get a kind of a vibe on how other podcasts. I follow a bunch of other podcasters. I get a vibe to how other podcasters are doing. See what they do and see what works. I shamelessly emulate. I do. I emulate other podcasters. And my top YouTube short was Worlds. Worlds singing. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Worlds can sing now. Voice of an angel. Incredible voice. Worlds can sing. Many years ago, I used to sing. I used to do a lot of like Frank Sinatra stuff, and I had a really, really bad throat infection, and they had to go in and do surgery down my throat. And ever since that surgery, I have never been able to sing the same again. I get like rare days where it comes out great, and then most of the time I sound like a 12-year-old going through puberty. So it kind of killed it for me. I was a big Sinatra fan, still a big Sinatra fan, but I would love to keep singing, but it's just not in the cards for me anymore. But Worlds can sing, y'all. Go check her out. Get them pipes. Get them pipes.
I sing. Sounds like a duck in a tumble dryer. But who the hell cares?
Right? You know, I get it. My personal bar is really high because I was paid for singing like Sinatra at piano bars at a very, I was 19 singing at bars. I was doing good for myself. And then, by the age of 20, it was gone. I couldn't do it anymore. So my personal bar is really high. And I don't know.
Sounds like a personal bar problem.
Yeah, it's a personal bar problem. It really is. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It's just not a thing I can do anymore, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know if you could see it. It's so dark in here. I got like a 1920s microphone on my arm because I used to sing so much.
You may sell cream over the counter for that.
I'll look into it. Yeah. Oh, show. All right. I got through my first beer. I think we're ready to go now. Now that I'm thoroughly lubricated, I'm gonna dig through this case of beer because there's one flavor in here. I bought this whole 12-pack for 3 cans. We're getting close to spooky season, everybody, and all the spooky season stuff is coming out. And this flavor of beer only comes out this time of year. Oh my God, it's at the bottom. Of course it's at the bottom. There it is. There's the madness.
Spooky season never ended for me.
No, I get it. No, it's an everyday thing for me. But Huh? Gotta love my Voodoo Ranger.
I'm so excited for spooky season. It's my niece's first Halloween, and I'm so thrilled that she loves all my decorations.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Hazel and I are actually married on Halloween. We're both very big proponents of Halloween and spooky season. We look forward to it every single year. Like we got married Halloween during the day, and then as soon as everybody left after the wedding, we got married in our backyard. We dressed up in costumes and sat on our porch and handed out candy.
For the Halloween parties. That's incredible.
Yeah, so we have a lot of fun every year. This is the time of year where we go to, I don't know. Okay, so I know a lot of y'all are overseas. Do y'all have Spirit Halloween over there? Is that a thing overseas? Because here in the States, Spirit Halloween is the thing.
This babbo is gonna turn 1 in October.
Ah, jeez. Got so much to look forward to. So much to look forward to.
No, and I'm devastated.
Ah, jeez. Oh. So, this time of year comes around. We always make a special trip. We save up a little bit of money and we go to Spirit Halloween. And this is where we buy our decorations for the house. We love Spirit Halloween. You remember a couple weeks ago we were talking shit about Ouija boards. Our bath mat's a Ouija board. We got it from Spirit Halloween. We love, you know.
You see Spirit Christmas?
Oh my God, yes. I haven't seen one personally, but I've seen them like online.
I heard they're doing a Freddy Fazbear animatronic this year, lol.
Yeah. I've seen the Freddy Fazbear, and hold on. Let me pull this up. I gotta show you. Hold on. Coming up. Oh no, pause it. Okay. Let me stop the music. I'm going to show you this one video and then we're going to get back to it. Because I'll sit here and just talk with y'all all night long.
Last year, the Spirit Halloween and Xmas were next to each other.
Oh my God. No, I haven't seen the Spirit Christmas yet. Hazel likes Christmas. I historically really dislike Christmas. I don't like Christmas. I'm going to say this once. Just once. You shouldn't need a holiday for a reason to buy the people you love a gift. But, sorry, personal grudge I have. Personal grudge. For many years, I didn't have Christmas, so I don't like
agree.
Christmas. Yeah, Otter gets it. Back before I met my wife, my buddies and I would get together. We would have a Christmas party on Halloween, and then we would have a Halloween party on Christmas.
I love Xmas. I get a lot of cool Halloween stuff around then.
Yeah. But there's
I love Christmas because everyone is off and I can spend the whole day with all of my family.
right. Yeah, it's nice. I'm coming around to it. Because it's becoming less of a commercial holiday for me and more of a personal holiday. And like we have, for the first time in my life, I have a box of Christmas decorations that I put up every year. Never had it before. Hazel's turning me around to the dark side. But sidebar to the sidebar. Let me show you this. This video is from Instagram. This is at Spirit Halloween here in the States. And those of you living in the States are going to get this. So if you're listening and you're not watching, this is your time to just flop over and listen or watch this part of the video. Yeah. Because the state of the nation is very much ruled by flock cameras, this is the scariest thing that Spirit Halloween can make.
Recording. Reporting. Recording. Reporting. Recording. Reporting. Recording. Reporting. Recording. Reporting. Recording.
But you know what I love? Wednesdays. It's the day of the week you are most likely to overlook the supernatural. It's the day I always look closer at shadows and follow up on odd sounds. I'd be away down the street, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to show you the flock camera thing. But yeah, you're right. Wednesdays are a supernatural type of day. It is. Historically speaking, that's the thin day of the week. Going way, way, way back to like Druid times, that was when druids would do their ceremonies, were on Wednesdays. Druids were uniquely in tuned with the paranormal. I like the things that
Odin's Day.
yeah, Odin's Day. You see, that's where the name Wednesday comes from, is Odin's Day. I used to, like, there for a while there, I was really, really fed up with organized religion. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be Odinistic and be a druid. And for like a year, I claimed I was like Odinistic and druid. And I studied the history of it for a good while. But, you know, there's so many things that they did that we still do today. Like the expression knocking on wood. This is my favorite. I tell this one to everybody. And a lot of people are like, no shit, that's where it comes from. So knocking on wood comes from the druids, and the druids would knock on oak trees before they prayed. And this is where we get the expression knocking on wood, for the best of my knowledge anyway.
Can't forget about Thursday.
Thursday? Geez, what a, you know, let's sidebar the sidebar right quick. What are the original names for the days of the week? I know we have Frey's Day, Friday, Thursday, Odin's Day. Sunday is, oh geez, no, these are wrong. We're going back to Roman times. Here we go. Sunday and Monday kept their meaning. Sun meaning sun, and moon being Monday, so Modentag. Tuesday is
The knocking on the wood was meant to startle off and spirits and sprites looking to cause trouble.
right. Yeah. So Tuesday gets its name from
Folklore Sound
Tyr.
Radio, I love that.
So Tuesday is Tyr, Tuesday, but it's spelled T-I-W in Old Germanic. So that's how we got two out of it. Wednesday is Odin's Day. Thursday is Thursday. Friday is Frigga's Day. And Saturday kept the Roman root honoring the god Saturn. And then Sunday and Monday, I have straightforward sun and moon. There you go. Yeah, the Druids were doing some shit. They were doing it right. Very in touch with nature, which I can really, really appreciate.
Did you know that if you could touch a blacksmith without them knowing, it would bring good luck?
Really? Didn't know that one. Touch them on the palm of their hand. They can't feel anything. But I guess the trick would be getting a blacksmith to do this and close his eyes.
A fact I know because I'm a smith.
Oh. Wow, look at you. I wanted to get into it. I ain't got the money for it. I'm a broke ass. All right, jerks. Y'all ready to get into this? We got a whole investigation again. We're an hour deep. We haven't even started. Oh my God. The script is a little short tonight, so that works out.
Yes.
Again, I'm gonna try to focus more on conversation rather than reading the script. So we're still looking at like 500 words per act. So if y'all want to talk about what we go over the acts, feel free to voice out after we read, the acts. I would love to, because it's honestly the best way to
cook a dinner.
go cook, my guy. Do your thing. Be an adult. You got to do what you got to do.
Turkey.
Appreciate it, Liquor Turkey. Thank you so much.
You calling a cootie queen, you lit liquor.
So, if y'all will replace Hazel for the night, after the end of the acts, we're going to open it up for conversation, and we're going to talk about what we talked about for the act. So, that being said, let's get into Act 1. Wow, an hour later. I haven't drugged this out this long in a long time. Y'all are having great conversation tonight. Great conversation. All right, let's open this thing up. Let's get to talking about it. Welcome, everybody, Beyond the Shadows podcast. This is La Pascualita, the corpse bride of Chihuahua, Mexico. Season 3, episode 34. This is Act 1, The Bride. in the window. It didn't do the lightning. Hold on. I pressed the button. There we go. Yes. So our story begins in Chihuahua, Mexico, on March 25th of 1930. A new figure appeared in the window of a bridal shop called La Poplar. And at first, there shouldn't have been anything particularly remarkable about it. Bridal shops need mannequins to display their dresses. And this was simply another woman dressed in white, standing behind glass. Except, this mannequin looked different. She was incredibly realistic. The figure had carefully detailed facial features, eyelashes, fingernails, wrinkles around the joints of her fingers, and remarkably lifelike hands. People have even claimed to see what looked like veins beneath the surface. And the mannequin eventually became known as La Pascualita, or Little Pascuala, because locals believe she bore a striking resemblance Pascuala Esparza, the woman associated with the shop. Some accounts say the figure was originally called Bonita before the nickname La Pascualita took over. So people believed she was someone in Pascuala's family, the owner of the shop. And according to legend, Pascuala had a beautiful daughter who was preparing to be married when a tragedy struck. Depending on which version you hear, the young woman was either bitten by a black widow spider or stung by a scorpion shortly before her wedding. She died before she could reach the altar. And not long afterward, the extraordinarily realistic mannequin appeared in the window of La Poplar, wearing a wedding dress. And people noticed the resemblance, and a rumor spread that Pascuala had refused to bury her daughter. Instead, he supposedly had the body preserved, dressed her in bridal clothing, and placed her upright inside the store. Her daughter would finally wear her wedding dress, but she would, however, wear it forever. But there's an important distinction here.
Yo, you ever do an episode on the bicameral mind?
No, I don't know what that is. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up right quick. Oh, a psychological hypothesis proposing that ancient humans did not have self-aware introspective consciousness. Instead, their brains operated in two parts, one part made of verbal commands as auditory hallucinations, perceived as the voices of gods, and the other part obeyed them without question. Ooh. That is interesting. I'm going to put that in the list. Thanks for that. Where were we? Oh my God. But there is an important distinction here. That's the legend. La Pascualita's appearance in 1930 is part of the established history surrounding the figure. But the part of the story about Pascuala's daughter, it's much harder to verify. Some versions say spider, others say scorpion, some say she died on her wedding day.
It's responsible for the gods disappearing and rise oracles.
So there is a sidebar. There is a school of thought here that it's the same concept. The bicameral mind is what gave rise to art as humans perceive it today. That's all I'm going to say for now. We talked about it extensively in season 1. Back when Aeon was here, there is, it's that same school of thought that says, through hallucination, through auditory and visual hallucinations, earlier bipedal hominids brought about art as we understand it today. That's all I'm going to say. Where was I? Oh my gosh. Some say she died on her wedding day, while others say she died shortly beforehand. Even the mannequin's origin is disputed, with stories placing her manufacture or purchase in different locations, but none of those contradictions stop the legend. In fact, it became stronger when people got close enough to examine La Pascualita. Visitors focused especially on her hands, the fingernails, creases around the knuckles, and lines beneath the surface that looked disturbingly biological. Employees had an even closer view when someone had to regularly change the wedding dress she was displayed with. One employer frequently mentioned in accounts in Sonia Borsiaga, a local newspaper, who reportedly described becoming nervous when she approached La Pascualita to change her clothing. Customers had their own stories. She claimed the mannequin's eyes followed them as they walked past the window. Others said her expression changed, or that her head sometimes appeared to be positioned differently. Eventually, the stories became even stranger. People claimed La Pascualita didn't remain in the same position overnight, and according to folklore, after La Poplar closed and the streets of Chihuahua became quiet, the mannequin sometimes moved around the shop. If La Pascualita were simply an extraordinarily realistic mannequin mistaken for a preserved corpse, we'd already have a fascinating mystery. But according to nearly a century of legend, the woman in the window doesn't always stay in the window. And that's where the story becomes even stranger. Because as you'll see in Act 2, there's more to the story behind the legend. All right. So Poke went back to making tacos. Otter, you said that's so valid. Why would you go through the effort of adding wrinkles and creases, especially around something like the fingers? Wait till you see the fucking pictures. Just fucking wait. Shit. Do we want to look at the photos now? Do we want to see them now, or do we want to wait a little bit? Let me look at.
God.
Yeah. This.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think we need to look at the pictures. I think we do. You just wait, because this shit gets weird. All right. Let me stack a few here so we can debut this in a way that brings about a dramatic entry. I'm trying to find a side by side of the daughter with the mannequin without the hand. Oh, geez. All the pictures have the hand in it. It'll be all right. We'll do that. We'll just do that, and then we'll go into the hand. Oh, God, yeah. This is so spooky. Submitted to you for the approval of the Midnight Society, I give you the actual photos from La Poplar, the mannequin known as La Pascualita. Check this shit out. All right. So kind of what you expected. We got a mannequin in a window in front of a, you know, it's a wedding dress store. This is kind of normal. Let's look a little closer. Let's look a little closer here. All right. All right. Are you seeing the weird shit yet? I've never seen a mannequin with this much detail. In fact, I've never seen a mannequin with eyes. the absolute insanity with the attention to detail here,
Her eyes are terrifying.
right? I mean, clearly artificial eyelashes, but like there is just something like hyper realistic here that's just unsettling, completely unsettling. But wait, hold on. Let me do something. Let me zoom in on this photo so we can leave out one of the. So this is a side by side of the daughter next to the mannequin. Sorry, my camera is cutting off part of this, but very similar indeed. The hairline is what gets me. Yeah, the hairline is right on. A little bit of a widow's peak there. The eyebrows are very different, but I mean, the eye shape is different. Mouth is the same. I don't know. I think I would need another photo of her looking up at the same angle.
Oh my god. The nose structure, the hairline, her lips.
So there's something here. But wait. It gets better. It gets better. Look at this shit. This is not a photo of a person. This is the hand on the mannequin. Have you ever seen a mannequin with this much detail, let alone fingernails? I don't know what's down here. Yeah, look at this. Oh my god. Look at that fucking detail. But what gets me...
I didn't even think about fingernails.
I know, right? Look how fucking detailed.
Cuticles.
Everything. Everything. I could, you know, this looks more realistic than me. Like, look. It's crazy. It's fucking insane. It's absolute madness. Let's look at some of these other photos. Yeah, look at this one. Jesus. This is insanity. And the discoloration at the tips of the fingers is what trips me up. Because when it comes to a body decomposing, fingertips turn black first.
That's horrible. I just got goosebumps.
You see? This is the thing. This is a fucking thing. Jesus Christ, these pictures are just... Oh yeah, let me open this one up. Come on, people. Come on. And apparently this discoloration at the tips of the fingers comes and goes with heat. So the hotter days, the fingertips get darker. I mean, look, there's dermal ridges here. Like an actual handprint. There's fingerprints on this damn thing. Come on. Come on. There's a really clear... Oh my god, this is horrifying. I hope y'all aren't planning to sleep anytime soon. Like... Oh my god, it's just... Look at the wrinkling at the neck, the collar. Right here. Mannequins don't wrinkle, folks. And it's funny because her eyes are like a little wonky, so she looks kind of stupid. Yeah, this is just absolute fucking madness. No, there's a different picture. Yeah. Very similar. Yes, absolutely freaking horrifying. You know what? I'm going to save this image. And I'm about to take a bathroom break. But I'm going to leave this image up. So y'all can be haunted.
The eyes. Horrible. 0 tenths. Could the odd eyes be from a lobotomy?
Maybe it was the right time. I don't know that there's much history about lobotomizing with this individual case, but you know, it's a good point. It's a good point. But look, I'm gonna peel away for just a second. I need to use the restroom real quick, and when we get back, we're gonna dive off into Act 2. But I'm going to make sure that you know what? I'm just gonna add an image source right now. And I'm just gonna leave this scene up. And y'all can stare at this wonderful face while I'm in the bathroom. There you go. I'll leave some creepy music going. I'll be right back, folks. Look at this shit.
The nightmares I'm going to have tonight.
I've returned. Hello. I'm glad everybody's haunted by these horrible images. Yeah. These pictures are crazy. Absolutely crazy. They're so fucking real. Like there's no reason why this mannequin should look so realistic. No reason whatsoever. There you go. Welcome. Hello, everybody. I'm back. Oh, wow. The hair is just all over the fucking place. Not a wig, everybody. It's still growing. I promise you. I don't know why everybody on YouTube thinks my hair is fake. Whatevs. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed those horrible, horrifying images. Just absolute madness. Absolute fucking madness. So yeah. Now you know what we're looking at here when we talk about La Pascualita. Very, very disturbing images here. I can say in my very limited time working retail, I've never seen a mannequin look realistic. I don't know if it's like the uncanny valley effect, like we don't want it to look too realistic because there's something that doesn't, it's like unsettling when it becomes too realistic, right? That could be the reason, you know, let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let me close all these windows of these horrifying images. Why don't we have realistic mannequins? Retailers use abstract or stylized mannequins instead of hyper-realistic ones to avoid the unsettling uncanny valley effect. To lower manufacturing costs and to keep shoppers focused entirely on the clothes rather than the lifelike face or body. The uncanny valley, perfectly lifelike faces and skin trigger a psychological sense of discomfort or eeriness in shoppers. I wonder, are there other hyper-realistic mannequins? Oh my god, there are. Well, not like... There's some that are like realistic looking, but not like that. Oh, jeez. Let me just look up realistic mannequins. I mean, even still, it's just the face. I'll show you what I'm seeing. So a lot of these just have like realistic looking faces. And the rest of the body is just kind of, you know, cookie cutter or whatever. But, oh my god, look at that. Yeah, I would be a little unsettled by that in a store. Oh, jeez. But, like, there's something about that face compared to La Pascualita that is totally different. This still looks like, you know, like a mannequin to me. Like it's fake. But there's something, I don't know, La Pascualita just looks inherently waxy. Like, it used to be alive. And they've done a poor job of making it, you know, preserving it, making it look real, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. Let's get into Act 2, everybody. Let's get into Act 2.
Oh yeah, that mannequin is uncanny, but La Pascualita is so unsettling.
Yeah, there's something off. Something not quite right. And I'm not sure what it is. It's almost, I don't know. My brain goes to something wax coated. Yeah, like a person coated in wax. Like you could dip a person in wax, refine the details, but like little shit is going to be off. And that just makes the whole thing look strange. And I think that's what we're dealing with La Pascualita is just, I mean, looking at the hyper-realistic mannequins, they still look like airbrushed, like fake. But La Pascualita almost looks more human, right? Imperfections. You know what I mean? Well, let's get into Act 2. The Bride Who Never Married. This is Act 2, everybody. Act 2. Act 2. So, at the center of La Pascualita, the La Pascualita legend is the supposed death Pascuala Esparza, the daughter. It's the event that supposedly explains why the figure appeared in the window of La Poplar, but it's also where the story becomes surprisingly difficult to verify. The most common version says Pascuala's daughter was preparing for her wedding when she was bitten by a black widow spider, but another version replaces a spider with a scorpion. But either way, the young woman supposedly died shortly before she could be married, leaving her mother devastated. And according to the legend, Pascuala couldn't accept her daughter's death, and rather than burying her, she supposedly had the body embalmed, or otherwise preserved, dressed her in a wedding gown and placed her in the shop window. And when customers began to notice the mannequin's resemblance to Pascuala, the story spread that the beautiful bride standing behind the glass wasn't made of wax or plaster at all. She was the preserved remains of the owner's daughter. But when we try to identify Pascuala, I don't know what happened, I hit the mouse. But when we try to identify the woman at the center of the story, we encounter a major problem. The daughter herself is remarkably difficult to find. The legend usually doesn't provide her name, and there isn't a consistently identified fiancé and no widely documented death certificate or contemporary newspaper account that has surfaced confirming that Pascuala's daughter died immediately before her wedding. Well, that doesn't prove she never existed, but it means one of the most famous parts of La Pascualita's story rests primarily on folklore rather than documentation. There's also the question of whether preserving a body this way would even be possible. Embalming can slow decomposition, but ordinary embalming isn't intended to keep someone looking lifelike indefinitely. La Pascualita has supposedly stood for decades in the storefront, exposed to light, changes in temperature, and repeated handling whenever her dress was replaced. And human remains can survive for centuries through mummification or specialized preservation, but keeping a corpse looking like a convincing living woman under those conditions would be an entirely different challenge. And then there's the practical problem of secrecy. Over nearly a century, numerous employees would have needed to move, dress, and care for La Pascualita and genuinely human. And if she were genuinely human, eventually someone would have been able to confirm it. Instead, the mystery survived partly because stories developed that only a certain trusted employees were allowed to change her clothing, keeping the most revealing parts of her body away from the public. And one of those employees most often associated with these stories is Sonia Orsiga. She reportedly described feeling nervous while changing Pascualita because the figure's extraordinarily realistic features, particularly her hands. Photographs help explain the fascination. The fingers contain detailed creases, realistic fingernails, and markings that observers have interpreted as veins. But something looking biological isn't the same as actually being biological, especially once you're examining it after being told you're looking at a dead person. And this may be one of the most important pieces of the mystery, because once Chihuahua began believing there was a corpse standing inside La Poplar, every detail became evidence. A realistic hand became a human hand. A crack or discoloration became aging skin. Glass eyes appearing to follow someone became something watching them. But eventually, stories went beyond what La Pascualita looked like. As people began claiming that her eyes actually moved, her expression changed, and her position shifted when nobody was watching. The question was no longer simply whether La Pascualita had once been alive, but people began wondering whether somehow she still was. incredible question. I know it's a tension builder. Sure. But we are getting reports at this point of the investigation that she's moving when nobody's looking. This is where we're bridging the gap between something that could be considered true crime to something that can be considered paranormal, right? We're definitely setting up for something interesting here, for sure. Sure. This is a very unique story. Very unique story. Yeah, the eyes is what gets me. I think it's the eyes that are the most unsettling part. Jeez, do I want to look at the pictures again? Ugh. Let me go ahead and open up this picture. Let's look at it again. Yeah. It's... Yeah, I'm sorry. This just looks like a fucking person. There's no way around it. This looks like a person. What is that? Hold on. Whoa. I jumped pictures. Sorry, last investigation. Hold on. Is that a Charmander? Right. What is this? Is that Charmander? What the fuck is this? Is that a little tiny Charmander off to the side? I don't know what that is. I really don't. It looks like Charmander. It looks even more like Charmander now that I zoomed out. Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there's... I don't know. It's just really weird. The eyes are the eyes are what's getting me. There's something off in the eyes. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah, let me get rid of that off my screen. I don't want to see that shit anymore. Okay. All right, let's move forward. Let's get into Act 3. When La Pascualita comes alive. So this is where we start bridging the gap between the true crime story and the paranormal story. This is where the shit's starting to get a little twisted here. We're getting a little twisted. This is Act 3, everybody. Act 3, when La Pascualita comes alive. Act 3. So once the people of Chihuahua began believing that La Pascualita might contain the remains of a real woman, it didn't take long for another kind of story to develop. Visitors weren't just examining her hands or comparing her face with photographs of Pascuala Esparza. They were watching for movement, and according to some of them, La Pascualita was watching back. Customers began reporting that her eyes seemed to follow them as they walked past the window of La Poplar, and others claimed her expression occasionally changed. Almost as though the woman behind the glass were reacting to the people staring at her. And on its own, the moving eyes phenomenon isn't especially difficult to explain. It's the same illusion that can make the eyes of a painting seem to follow you across a room. If the eyes of a mannequin are positioned looking forward, and if, in a fixed position, our brains can interpret that gaze as remaining fixed on us as we move. But some witnesses claimed they saw more than an illusion. Stories developed of La Pascualita's head changing position, her hands moving, and even her entire body appearing differently from one day to the next. Employees would supposedly leave the mannequin position one way at closing and return the following morning to find something had changed. And then came the stories about what happened after dark. According to local folklore, La Pascualita sometimes stepped down from her display after the store closed and walked through La Poplar. There are versions in which employees hear unexplained noises from inside the shop, and others where people outside supposedly catch glimpses of movement behind the windows. But like many parts of the story, specific named witnesses and contemporary reports are difficult to find. But the idea of the mannequin walking at night became firmly attached to the legend, and eventually the story gained one of its strangest characters, a mysterious French magician. And according to the tale, the magician arrived in Chihuahua and became fascinated with La Pascualita. He visited the shop repeatedly and supposedly fell in love with the woman standing behind the glass. Using magic, he was able to bring her to life after dark, but some versions say the two would leave the shop together and wander through Chihuahua, while others describe them dancing through the night. But before sunrise, he would return La Pascualita to the store, where she would become motionless once again. There's little reason to treat the magician story as historical fact. We don't have a reliable, identified magician, documented performances, or even evidence that anything resembling the legend actually occurred. But its inclusion tells us something important about how La Pascualita changed over time. What began as a rumor about an unusually realistic mannequin became the story of a preserved corpse, and that corpse eventually became a supernatural figure capable of returning to life. But there's another side to that legend that isn't nearly as frightening. La Pascualita also became associated with good luck for brides, and some local traditions claim that purchasing the wedding dress displayed on her can bring the bride good fortune in a long marriage. It's a strange transformation. The figure supposedly representing a woman who died before her own wedding eventually became something other brides looked forward to for luck. And maybe that's why La Pascualita survived for nearly a century. Depending on who tells the story, she's a corpse, a ghost, a mannequin, a good luck charm, or a woman temporarily brought back from the dead each night. But all of those stories depend on an enormous assumption that there really is something unusual about the body standing beneath that wedding dress. So now, we need to stop treating La Pascualita like a ghost story and treating her like evidence. Because if she's actually the preserved body of a woman who died in 1930, there should be ways to determine whether that's even possible. Okay. So we threw a couple of wrenches in there. The big one. Let's go over the big one. The magician story. Another piece of folklore. A magician shows up, falls in love with a mannequin. Isn't this an episode of Bob's Burgers? Anywho, it's guy falls in love with a mannequin, brings her back to life, but just for the night. And they dance in the street. I'll let you decide on that one. It's a little far-fetched, I'll be honest. But, we're looking at, Chihuahua, Mexico. A lot of the social commentary is built upon folklore. Look at La Llorona. La Llorona is all over every Spanish-speaking country. And it is so prominent that it actually has made its way up into New Mexico and the United States. There is groundwork for this type of a social setting, creating folklore, and it's sticking. So it's not like, I wouldn't say super far-fetched. Not really. It's unique, to say the least. It is unique. This one just stands out a little bit because we're looking at a mannequin. I'm starting to form kind of an idea about what I think this is really about. And, you know, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. We'll get to that. But let's get into Act 4, everybody. And we're going to get into more of the science part of this investigation where we could try to decide whether La Pascualita is actually a human body preserved. All right. So this is Act 4, everybody. Act 4 is La Pascualita actually a corpse? Oh. Let's deal with the biggest claim in this entire story. Forget the moving eyes, the changing expression, the French magician for a moment. Could La Pascualita actually be the preserved body of a woman who died almost a century ago? If that's true, we aren't dealing with a paranormal claim anymore. We're dealing with human remains. And that means we have to ask whether the story makes sense biologically, historically, and practically. The first problem is preservation. Embalming slows decomposition, but conventional embalming doesn't permanently stop it. A body displayed once in 1930 would have to spend decades exposed to environmental conditions that aren't particularly friendly to preserved human tissue. Light, temperature changes, moisture, repeated handling all could contribute to deterioration. And long-term preservation of human remains is certainly possible. We have mummies thousands of years old, but those remains generally don't continue looking like lifelike people standing naturally in a bridal shop window. You also got to take into account of environmental factors. You know, mummies are in the desert. It is surprisingly void of moisture. We're talking about Chihuahua, Mexico. Humidity's high there. You got to take that into account. But there are examples that get us even closer. Anatomical specimens can be preserved chemically, and techniques such as plastinization can produce incredibly durable human specimens. But plastinization wasn't developed until decades after La Pascualita first appeared. Other preservation methods available in 1930 could potentially have created long-term lasting remains, but maintaining the appearance associated with La Pascualita for generations after generation would require something considerably more complicated than simply embalming a body and putting clothes on it. Then we have the hands, arguably the strongest piece of evidence for believers. Photographs show detailed fingernails, creases around the joints, and lines beneath the surface that have often been described as veins. They are unquestionably creepy, but those are the details that prove they're human. Mannequins and wax figures were already capable of remarkable realism by the early 20th century, but particularly when created for expensive displays, museums, or exhibitions. But what looks like a vein could simply be intentional detailing, discoloration, or aging of material. There's also a much bigger problem. Where is the forensic evidence? For all the attention La Pascualita has received, there's never been a publicly documented examination proving that she's human. No widely accepted x-ray showing a skeleton, no DNA test establishing her identity as Pascuala Esparza's daughter, and no publicly available forensic reporting confirming that the material beneath the dress is human tissue. And after nearly a century of rumors, the single test capable of completely changing this story hasn't produced the evidence believers would need. The historical evidence isn't much stronger. If Pascuala Esparza really lost a daughter immediately before her wedding, we would expect some trace of that woman. A name would be a good start. From there, we could look at birth records, marriage announcements, church records, newspaper reports or death certificates. Instead, the daughter's identity remains frustratingly vague, while major details of her death change depending on which version of the legend we're reading. And then there's the secrecy problem. Generations of employees have handled La Pascualita's dresses and have changed her. The figure's been moved, and countless people have photographed her. Hiding a corpse for a few days is one thing. Hiding one in a commercial business for nearly 100 years would have required generations of people either failing to recognize human remains or agreeing to maintain the secret. None of this proves that every strange experience surrounding old Pascualita is false. Someone could genuinely believe that they saw her eyes move or her position change. But when we separate those experiences from the corpse claim, the evidence becomes surprisingly thin. And there may be one final way to test the legend. Because if Pascuala's daughter really existed, the answer might not be standing in the shop window at all. It might be buried in the history of Chihuahua. Okay, everybody, we've done it. We've hit the end of Act 4. We've got a little bit of setup to do before we get into Act 5. I gotta go get a puppy. And we're gonna bring the puppy in for the puppy camera. I'm gonna move my case of beer. Let me just put this over here. I'm gonna go get this puppy. Oh, you know. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know. Geez, I refreshed speech chat somehow. Wow. Gonna peel off for just a minute. I'm gonna go get basil. And then we gotta set up for predictions. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're gonna wrap this thing up in a nice, neat little bow. We're gonna cover Act 5. I'm gonna go get a puppy. And we're going to come down to final conclusions. So hold the phone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Engaged. By the time Major Marcel reached Fort Worth, the tone had changed completely. General Roger Ramey took charge. Marcel was ordered to pose for photographs with debris that looked nothing like what he recovered. Tin foil, wooden sticks, rubber remnants. Marcel complied, but he never stopped insisting that what was shown to the press was not what he brought in. Decades later, he would say the material had been switched. That claim is often dismissed as a memory distortion, but it introduces a critical problem. Poking his head through the window. Yeah. Fucking nightmare fuel. Absolutely nightmare fuel. So strange that we're seeing a barn owl in an area where they're not even supposed to be. I assumed it was a snow owl. I was wrong. So yeah, a weird parallel drawn between individual cases where people are saying they're seeing a barn owl and it's looking through their window, or they're seeing it outside, or it's in a place where they can see it clearly through their window, right? And not but moments, search and rescue teams sometimes describe similar behavior in missing person cases near lakes and rivers. The individual is found in water that appears calm and shallow at the edge. No sign of a struggle on the bank, no defensive injuries, no evidence of a third party, just entry. Okay. Hold on. Let me turn on the puppy cam. Let me turn it on. He's here. He's very excited. He's very excited because we're about to give him a special bone. I got it here. So he will chew this thing down to where he can't get the little bits out of the middle.
Basil.
But if I cut it open, he goes crazy about it. Yeah. Let everybody see your little face. Look at him just patiently waiting. He is so excited. Give me just a second. I gotta cut this thing open so he'll chew on it. Ugh. Almost got it, buddy. We're almost there. Little basil. Look at it patiently waiting. Oh, okay. Here you go. I did it.
He's so patient. What a good boy.
He is. He's a very good boy. And he will sit there and chew this thing for hours. Hours. This is how we keep him. He gets these special bones a couple times a week. These are his favorite times. He loves these bones. They're a bit. They take a little bit of work. And he will chew on this thing until it is pulp. He's such a good boy. He is a good boy. All right. So we got Basil here. Let's pull up Twitch. We got to get a prediction going. Ooh, Hef is streaming, everybody. I think we got someone to raid tonight. Ooh. Just say Twitch clip that. By using auto clips, clips are automatically made using your stream audio to create a great moment. You can also say Twitch clip that during streams. Oh, let's see how many clips I get. I said it twice. Excuse me, I sneezed. All right, got it. Cool. Let's do a real test. We'll see if it actually does it. Twitch clip that. See what happens. See if we get clips. I don't know if it will or not. All right, let's start a prediction, everybody. So we've come to the point of the podcast where everybody's able to make a prediction. The prediction is, what will the decision be? Are we going to come down on paranormal or not paranormal for tonight's investigation? You have two choices. Absolutely paranormal or not paranormal. Those of you watching live in Twitch, you're able to vote live on the channel. You'll see a purple bar pop up at the top of the Twitch, or top of the chat bar. Once that goes live, you have 10 minutes to make your prediction. And those of you watching on YouTube are also invited to join in with the prediction. You can let us know your prediction in chat, and we will count it towards the final vote. And the majority vote gets the rule. So, whatever everybody says is what we decide. And when it comes down to, we've only had one tie since season 3 started. And we used Basil to do the tie break. So if we hit a tie, then Basil gets to decide. That being said, I'm going to click OK, and the prediction is live. The prediction is live, everybody. At the top of your chat, you will see a big purple bar scrolling across your screen. That is the prediction. Go in and predict whether you think tonight's episode is absolutely paranormal or not paranormal. And again, everybody watching live in YouTube can vote. I notice we are running an ad right now, so if you're stuck in the ad, I'm sorry. But we got 10 minutes. Everybody's got 10 minutes to vote. And we are running now. We are running. That being said, let's get into Act 5, everybody. Basil's got his bone. We got a prediction running. It's time. Hold on. Before we get going. One more time.
Basil based drop.
Yeah, basil base drop. All right, everybody, we're getting into it now. And Olive Oil was here, but she left us. So I will do an Olive Oil drum and bass.
But surely you mean au revoir? No, goodbye.
Olive oil drum and bass.
Okay. Where you going, bud? Your bone's right here. There you go. Yeah. He's got his own little light down here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, he's got his own light. Oh, too bright, too bright. Oh, just barely turn it on. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. He's happy with that. All right, let's get into Act 5, everybody. Act 5. What is La Pascualita? So after nearly a century of stories, we're left with two very different versions of La Pascualita. In one, she's an extraordinarily realistic mannequin whose appearance inspired generations of folklore. In the other, she's the preserved body of a young woman who died before her wedding. I lost my spot. Oh my gosh. In plain sight. Yeah. Hidden in plain sight behind the window of a bridal shop in Chihuahua, Mexico. Sorry about that, y'all. And unfortunately for the legend, when we start separating what we can document from what has simply been repeated, the mannequin explanation has considerably more evidence behind it. We know La Pascualita became associated with La Poplar in 1930, and we know how generations of visitors have been fascinated by her unusually realistic appearance, particularly her hands and face, but we also know the story of Pascuala Esparza, and her daughter became inseparable from the wax figure. What we don't have is the identity of that daughter, convincing documentation of her supposed wedding day and her death, or forensic evidence demonstrating that La Pascualita contains human remains. There are enormous missing pieces for her story, supposedly based on a real death. Paranormal claims are even harder to establish. Stories of moving eyes, changing expressions, and nighttime wanderings are fascinating, but most exist as folklore rather than well-documented incidents. The French magician who supposedly brought La Pascualita to life is almost certainly another layer added as the story evolved. But that doesn't necessarily mean every witness was lying. Someone seeing the mannequin from a different angle, noticing a changed pose after employees handled her, or experiencing the illusion of her eyes following them, could sincerely walk away believing something impossible had happened. But perhaps the most interesting thing about La Pascualita is that the mystery never needed to be proven. The uncertainty became part of the attraction. If the owners had allowed scientists to examine her and conclusively announced that she was made from an ordinary mannequin materials, one of Chihuahua's greatest legends could have disappeared overnight. As long as nobody could definitively see what was beneath the wedding dress, there was always room for the question, what if? And that question survived long enough for La Pascualita to become more than a creepy figure in a shop window. He became part of Chihuahua's folklore and an even stranger symbol of marriage. Brides reportedly sought out dresses displayed on her because of the belief that doing so could bring good fortune to their marriages. A figure supposedly representing a bride who never reached her own wedding somehow became associated with luck for women preparing for theirs. But more recently, another chapter had been added to the mystery. La Pascualita is no longer continuously standing in the famous storefront where generations of visitors knew her. Reports in recent years have described her absence from the window, leaving tourists who arrive expecting to see Chihuahua's corpse bride. Where you go? He's interested in something. I don't know what he's doing. For a figure whose entire mythology depends on being visible but unreachable behind glass, disappearing from that familiar location only gives the story another question to survive on. Where is La Pascualita now? What do we think happened? Based on the evidence available, the simplest explanation is also the strongest. The puppy left. He left us. All right, I'm turning the puppy cam off. He's wandering. Put her back on when he comes back. La Pascualita was an unusually realistic mannequin whose resemblance to Pascuala Esparza inspired a local rumor. And that rumor became a story about a dead daughter. The dead daughter became an embalmed bride. And eventually the bride began moving, watching customers and walking through Chihuahua at night. But proving the corpse story probably isn't true doesn't make La Pascualita less entertaining. In some ways, it makes her story more interesting. Because someone placed a mannequin in a window in 1930. Almost 100 years later, we're still talking about her. And maybe La Pascualita never came alive, but maybe the story did. Hold on, I gotta find the puppy. Where you at, bud? Good, bud. Be happy on a pillow. Puppy's back. Okay, so I want to do something that I haven't thought about doing yet. Let's look up this store on Google Maps. I want to see what their most recent Google Maps image is. All right, here we go. I'm thinking this is it here. I think that's the window there. Let's look. Oh no, that's not her. Where's my pin? Where's my pin? Okay, that's what that looks like. All right. Go here. There it is. Oh no, did they go out of business? No, they're still doing it. But the mannequin's gone. Oh, well, this is where she used to
Like the renovations and quit lol.
I'm guessing this is the window where she used to be because I see a lot of the, like, the window stuff is still there. Yeah, she's not there anymore. Let's roll it back. 21? Oh, yeah, look. Good call. Renovations. Wow. All right, 19. Where is she? Is it in the front? All right, let's go to February of 2019. Oh, there she is. There she is. Her face is blurred. All right, so February of 19, she was there. June of 19. Look at that. What? And then October, she was replaced with a sign. Okay, that's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little weird.
That's suspicious.
It is suspicious, right? Yeah, that...
Super sus.
Let's roll it back a little further. I love Google Maps for this reason. Oh, Google Maps doesn't have a shot on the corner? Oh, there's an X right there. What? Why? What? It jumped from 2015 up to 2019 for this location. Come on. Come on. There she is, 2014. But if we go to 2015, it kicks us out. It won't let us see her. Huh. It's a little weird. That's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a little weird. That's a little weird.
That's hilarious that they blurred her face.
Yeah, it. She's so realistic. The AI picked up on it and made her and blurred her face. Come, bud. Peace. Little buddy, look at this face. What do I do with myself? What do I do?
The one and only time I will agree with the eye. She's real.
Yeah, that's like a red flag, right? Like, why would you blur her face? Because it knows to only pick up like human faces? A little weird. A little weird. Okay. So, let me say my piece. We have an unconfirmed story of a death. Really looking for a death certificate from the 1930s in Chihuahua, Mexico. Probably not going to have one. I have a feeling that even if we did do a deep dive on like death certificates or marriage certificates, half of them aren't going to be there because it was the 1930s. Everything kind of ran off of word of mouth, like honesty, a firm handshake deal. He wants to leave me. He wants so bad to leave me. Look at his little face. Maybe it's the light. I don't know. Let's turn the light off. He's a little shy. Do you want to come up here? You want to come say hello to everybody? Here. Hey. Here. He doesn't want to come over. That's fine. It's okay. He'll do his thing. He's a puppy. He's allowed to do that. All right. So generally what I like to do is...
Puppy.
Yeah, you missed the puppy worlds. He chewed his bone and he's off. He's doing his own thing. What are you doing, bud? Come here. No, he's not having it. Let me see you. I don't want to chase you around the bedroom. I really don't. All right, he'll come around.
Between property damage, theft, and the passage of time, a lot of those birth, death, marriage certificates are probably lost.
Yeah, and I really have a feeling, for the 1930s in Mexico, there probably wasn't a lot of marriage, birth, and death certificates, honestly. Because, here in the States, we deal with, you've got to have these things. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Chihuahua, Mexico, they probably didn't, their society didn't heavily run on having a dated, a paper trail like we do in the States, especially in the 1930s. We barely had one in the 30s in the States. All you needed was a piece of paper to say who you were. Driver's licenses were a piece of paper in the States in the 1930s. And that was it. So I can imagine in the 1930s in Chihuahua, Mexico, a lot of that stuff just didn't exist. All right. Then again, so the first question I like to ask is, who's making money off of this? Admittedly, sure, this bridal dress company is making money off of this. There's legitimately people making money off the popularity of La Pascualita. It's the thing. But now that she's not in the window anymore, I don't know that they're really making money off of it today. 2019 or 2015 was the last time we saw her in the window. So, could be a red flag. It could be that it became too difficult to keep up, a decent image on the mannequin, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. But there is a piece of me that thinks
Maybe someone finally proposed.
All right. I mean, I could see how somebody could say, yes, it's just a hyper-realistic mannequin. But the problem I run into is that nobody makes hyper-realistic mannequins with fingernails, wrinkles on the hands, veins coming out of it, showing through the skin. There's just a lot of gray area there. You know what I mean? We
They
even...
were absolutely not doing hyperrealism in the 30s.
Absolutely not. No. A piece of me thinks that in the 1930s, we were only dealing with, like torsos that just held up the dress, right? Oh, he got close. He's ready to go. It'll be all right. Here. You want to be internet famous or what, buddy? He's being stubborn. He'll come around. But no, people are just not doing it, especially in the 1930s. Oh, I got. Yes, there he is. Oh, good gravy. Say hello to everybody. Oh, you smell like your bone. Oh, you're wiggly like a worm. You're wiggly like a worm. Yeah, so I don't see like somebody directly making money off of this. So it begs the question, why make a hyper-realistic mannequin? Why? And there's two schools of thoughts here that we're dealing with. That they don't want to submit the mannequin for testing because they're going to say, oh, well, this is just a mannequin. Well, that's not super interesting, so nobody's going to ever come around to the bridal place again. But on the flip side of that, they don't want to submit the mannequin for testing because it might just have a human skeleton inside of it, right? It's not far-fetched. Not really. Not when you think about it. And so I think with this case...
To show off their craft, to hide their crime in plain sight. As a warning, there are so many questions.
Yeah, exactly. There's just... This is so polarized that it could literally go in either direction. Hands down. It's either black or white here. We're either dealing with a hyper-realistic mannequin that nobody wants to give up its secrets because they're afraid it's going to draw, or they're going to lose popularity or traction to their store, or they legitimately have a mannequin with a human body inside of it and they don't want their crimes being brought to light. You're being so good. I'm going to set you down because I know you're ready to go. Okay, okay. Oh, now you want me, huh? So, I think with the case of La Pascualita, oh, his face got all the way up in the camera. I think, based on our photo evidence, and based on the testimony that we heard today by, I don't think that we're dealing with like a possessed mannequin. I don't think people are seeing the eyes move. I don't think the mannequin's moving position. However, I do subscribe to the school of thought that says that there legitimately is a body inside this mannequin. Especially as of late, there's been people coming forward with like statues, especially there's been examples of Buddhist temples coming forward with statues of the Buddha that have been x-rayed to find human remains inside of those. So this is not a unique idea. This is not a totally strange concept. We're dealing with something that's not too far off the beaten path. And there we go. He's finally settled. What a good boy. And so I'm going to personally say that this is paranormal because of the fact that these people have hidden the human body in plain sight for a century. So let's look at the prediction. Let's look. Otter voted absolutely paranormal. I voted paranormal. Basil left me again. He loves leaving. He's a leaver. He's just too full of energy. He's not a sit down and relax kind of puppy. So I think tonight we're going to say that La Pascualita is paranormal based on the fact that we think there's actually a human body hidden inside of this. The prediction is made. Absolutely paranormal, everybody.
That is absolutely paranormal.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
That is absolutely paranormal.
All right, we did it, everybody. We did it. We did it. We come to the end. We've come to the end, and we decided that this week's case is truly paranormal. A very strange case, to say the least. Very strange case. Lots of strange photographic evidence. I can't say that I can vouch for like the paranormal happenings, the eyes moving, the magician showing up. But I'm going to call this paranormal because...
Imagine it was an amateur mannequin maker and they built her around a skeleton for ease.
Right. That idea doesn't seem so far-fetched. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because what better way to build a human replica than with the human skeleton, right? It's not so far-fetched. It's not. And... surely there's some other folklore tied into this, and I can't help but harken back to season 1 when we talked about La Llorona, that there is a crumb of truth with a lot of folklore from this part of the world. I've got a Hispanic dude that works with me at my job here locally, and I remember when we did the case on on La Llorona. When I talked to him about it, I was like, hey, dude, you'd be kind of excited because this week we talked.
If Disney can fill a ride full of real skeletons, and Poltergeist can use real skeletons for a scene, I can see someone back in the day using a skeleton instead of going through the effort of casting.
Right. That doesn't seem so far-fetched. But when I was telling dude about when we were doing the investigation for La Llorona, like, dude's face actually got white and he was scared. Like, he was like, no. I don't want to talk about it. He said, I've seen her. He said, when I was living in Mexico, you don't even say her name because she'll wait till you're walking home from a bar and she's going to grab you and you'll be dead. She'll grab you and you'll die. She'll kill you. He's like, we don't even say her name. You don't say her name because that's bad luck. And I'm like looking at his reaction to the story of La Llorona, and I can't help but feel like it can be cemented in folklore, but there has to be something that started the folklore, right? And this is what we're dealing with here. There's a grain of truth somewhere in this story, and I feel like, based on our investigation tonight, our grain of truth is there very well may be a body inside of this. We don't have a death certificate. Well, you know what? The family got rid of it so they wouldn't have to explain them coming up with a dead body, right? How do you get away with hiding a body? Destroying the death certificate. You never died. You never existed. So we can hide her in plain sight. She'll always be a part of the family. Look who came back. So it's got a nice vibe to it. That's what we're gonna go with. Tonight's case, truly paranormal. We're gonna hit this closing monologue right quick. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thanks Otter. I appreciate you being here tonight, Otter. Made a great show. Thanks Worlds. I'm sure you're probably sleeping now. That's okay. Looks like James dropped off of YouTube land. That's all right. We're gonna raid Hef tonight. Hef is currently streaming. My buddy. Looks like he's playing a game called How to Fish.
Thrilled to catch it. Smiling face with hearts.
Yeah, glad to have you here. I have no idea what we're going to do next week. I've got to look at the list of what we've done and what we haven't done. We try to keep a standard rotation. So that being said, let's wrap this thing up. We're going to get the hell out of here. We're going to raid Hef tonight. Looks like he's playing this cool new fishing game. Yeah, let's wrap this thing up and get out of here. I got to work in the morning, so for almost 100
horror movies.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. We will probably pull something off of the running list that I've got that I keep for notes. Since we did something ghost related this week, I think we're about due for a cryptid. Either cryptid or alien UFO story. I'm not sure yet. But we'll figure it out before next Sunday, so keep that in mind. So for almost 100 years, La Pascualita has stood somewhere between fact and folklore. Maybe she was always just an incredibly realistic mannequin. Maybe the resemblance to Pascuala Esparza was nothing more than a coincidence. And everything that came afterward, the dead daughter, the spider bite, the moving eyes, the midnight walks through Chihuahua, were simply one story building on top of another. But there's something about looking into that face, and especially those hands, that make it very easy to understand why people started asking questions in the first place. So, if you find yourself walking through Chihuahua one night and you pass an old bridal shop with a beautiful woman standing perfectly still behind the glass, maybe give her a wave. If her eyes follow you, it's probably an optical illusion. If her head moves, maybe somebody bumped the display. And if she steps down from the window, opens the door, and starts walking towards you, maybe don't stick around long enough to ask whether she was bitten by the spider or the scorpion. But no matter what you do, make sure you follow us and Basil. Mr. Basil down here. Hold on. There's a little light on. There he is. Make sure you follow us beyond the shadows. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
A creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. It's horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.